I'm going to mute everybody just to make sure, because sometimes we have background noise and all that good stuff. But the chat is open. So if you guys have questions, or if suddenly you can't hear me, or anything at all, feel free to throw yourself in the chat. I am my own tech person, so let's just hope this all goes well. But it is so lovely to see everybody here tonight. And I already have flipped ahead a slide, but I am absolutely thrilled that you were all able to join me tonight. And I want to talk to you about how to declutter your whole house without it becoming a hot mess again. A lot of people that I talk to say, it's not the decluttering part that's hard. I can do that. I can say goodbye to things, but it's it just always goes back to being messy again. So I want to go through the process that I have learned and the things that I have learned, not only in doing my own house, but working with hundreds of clients and thousands of hours in client houses, about how to truly declutter without it going back to being messy again. So if you guys happen to be on Instagram tonight, especially if you don't know me personally, a few of my friends are here, which is lovely. But if you don't know me and you have your Instagram up, I am home.by.11. And if you feel like it, throw me a DM and just tell me what bugs you most about your house. It could be anything. It could be my mudroom is the size of a postage stamp, or my kids throw their stuff down and they never pick it up, or I don't have a place to put my Halloween scary doll collection. That is only because I watched a TikTok today of someone that has this whole collection of the scariest dolls, like Chucky dolls and other things. So whatever your organizing challenge is, please throw me a DM and let me know. But any organizing challenge, I promise you we can solve. I am so thrilled that you're here. I know that there are a lot of things going on, and I know that being on a computer screen for another hour is not always everyone's jam. So I really appreciate that you all made it here tonight, and I hope that I can give you some valuable tips and tricks and that you can learn a lot. So this training and this workshop I set up is for you if you have struggled with clutter in your home for years and you just feel overwhelmed, you have no idea where to start. I know that applies to a lot of people. If the emotions you feel about your house include some of the words like frustrated, mad, annoyed, angry, or you really just have given up and trying to make it better. You just say, I don't have time, I don't have energy, I don't know what to do, so I'm just not going to do it. This applies to a lot of people too. If you have tried to get organized before and you start super strong and then you fizzle fast, or you get organized and you can't maintain it and it kind of goes backwards, and your house goes back to being messy. So if any of those things apply to you, or if any other things apply to you, I have got you covered. So I want to just do a friendly competition. So imagine, I really love food, and I love the show Top Chef. So friendly competition time, I would like to imagine for my own personal life that top chefs are gonna make you breakfast, lunch, and dinner for an entire year. And the first person to get their entire house organized wins, which I think would be a great prize. So we have Jessica, and Jessica decides she wants to win. And the first thing she does is goes out and buys $300 of organizing supplies, which is also a thing that people do. She decides to start working on her closet, and then she remembers she should probably do the laundry, and then she stops to change a light bulb, and then she says, oh, the dishwasher just started, so I need to empty it. And actually, this is just a lot of work, so I think I'm gonna go to watch Netflix. If this applies to any of you, I totally understand. She also changes organizational strategies every single day. So she says, today I'm only going to declutter red things, or I'm only going to declutter white things. So she changes her strategy every day and she has no plan. Then you've got Jen, and Jen sits down and she makes goals for herself and for her house. She starts with things that are easier to deal with. So she goes through clothing that is a decade old that she hasn't worn in forever. And then she moves on to much more difficult things. Like the last thing she does is looking through her kids' school papers and photographs. So she does things in order from easiest to hardest. She has a plan, she makes a checklist of achievable tasks, and then she makes time to declutter within her schedule. So really, of those two people, this is pretty easy. Who wins? Jessica going all over the place, or Jen, who has a plan and a purpose and knows exactly what she's going to go do? So my job is to turn you guys into a Jen. For all of our men out here, it's okay. You can be a Jen too. But I just want you to be able to understand how you can organize in a way that you cannot be overwhelmed and that you cannot feel like it's never, ever going to get better. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa. and I am a certified professional organizer, which is a career that I love and I've been doing for almost 3 years now. So what is true about me also, though, I was not always organized. I, in fact, refer to myself quite frequently as a former trash panda. So I used to be the queen of clutter. I had clutter on every surface of my house, but I didn't want to be messy. I just was messy. So I really wanted to be less stressed by my house. And I wanted to not spend boatloads of time looking for lost things and constantly cleaning up, which was also something that happened to me a lot. I did not want to be embarrassed if someone came over. So, you know, that moment where the doorbell rings and you panic because there are 400 dirty dishes in the sink and there are things all over the floor and you haven't vacuumed in a week. And that was me. I was just totally embarrassed if someone came over. And I was being crushed by stuff in our house. We had stuff everywhere. And I wanted badly to not be that way anymore. And I found out that I was pretending, you know, because social media and all that good stuff, I was pretending I lived in a super organized and calm house with my family and everything was amazing and wonderful. And in actuality, we were living like this. So I can't see your faces, but if I did, this is really how my closet looked. This is actually a good picture of my closet. That was actually like decently organized. And that was my kitchen, where my kitchen 100% of the time looked like that. And again, it probably looked worse than that most times. Obviously, my children looked like they wanted to be in the witness protection program. So I was pretending like everything was great, but I had total chaos in my house all the time. In case you don't believe me, here are more pictures. These are not staged pictures. These are actual pictures of what my house looked like all the time. Total chaos in the laundry room, total disaster on my desk, total disaster in our mudroom. It was like this all of the time. And I really didn't know how to make it different, and I didn't know how to make it better. So I was in that overwhelmed place, just like you may be feeling right now. So after years, which years are sometimes measured in decades. So after 4 decades of living, well, actually not 4 decades, because the house I grew up in was very tidy, but my adult years, 2 decades, constantly cluttered house, I knew that I needed to do things differently. So I love Parks and Rec. Hopefully I have some other people that feel that way too. And I decided to pull like a total Leslie Knope and go at it like gangbusters. So this was not going to be a project that I was going to take on and do like, 10 minutes a day. I went at it like Leslie Knope attacks a project. And I said, I'm going to get my entire house completely organized. And I remembered that I had these books that this was one book in particular, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And I had that book in my house. This is a 100% accurate and true story. I looked for the book and I could not find it anywhere in my house. So I actually had to repurchase it, which is something that a lot of people end up doing with a lot of things in their house. So I bought that book and I had read it when it first came out, but it obviously didn't click with me. And this time, for whatever reason, I think because I was super motivated to do something different, I read this book and I said, yes, this totally makes sense. This is a system I understand, and I'm going to do this totally exactly like she says to do it in the book. So I got everything out of my closet and I went through all of my pieces of clothing. I took every book off my shelf and went through all of my books. I decluttered my entire house. My family did get on board. So I did have help, which is nice, but I would have done it all by myself if I needed to. My organized home became a reality. It took me a few months and it was hard work, I'm not going to lie, but it legitimately changed our entire relationship with our house. It changed the way that we view consumption. I used to have Amazon packages come to the house like every day. And that stopped because I said, I want to be a more thoughtful consumer. So that includes not just buying quick and easy and cheap things. That includes buying things that are built to last and from small companies and small businesses. And I don't need all these things in my home. So just as a benchmark, and you do not have to do this, we probably said goodbye to about 60% of the things in our house. And that may sound like a lot, but I can tell you, I am in no way a minimalist. I applaud people who can be that way. I just don't happen to be one of them, but I do call myself a mediumist. And so I was able to continue being a mediumist with less than half of the things I used to have in my house. And we only realized that we accidentally gave away one thing that was just a mistake. And that was a pair of shoes for my daughter. We replaced them and we said, man, we gave away half of our house and we didn't even notice one thing was gone except for the pair of shoes. So that really tells you something. So I took it to a little bit of a drastic step, which is I liked organizing so much and I liked decluttering so much that I made it into my career, which I do not. You do not have to do this if you feel like it. It's a really great job and I meet amazing people, but you don't have to go quite to that extreme. But I was able to become one of, right now, there are 500 people on the globe that are certified by Marie Kondo in her organizing method. And I became certified by her and I started my own professional organizing business because I saw all the changes that we made in our house and I saw every good thing that came from us doing this. And I said, if I can share even the tiniest little bit of that with other people and really see how much just decluttering your house and just getting organized and just saying goodbye to some things can legitimately change someone's life. And I wanted a little bit of piece of that. And I am very grateful that it's been almost 3 years and I have worked with hundreds of clients and I've met the most amazing people. And I hope that I can teach you a few things today. So I designed my ideal home life. I organized my home from top to bottom and we have not gone back to being messy. So I want to be clear. Our house is not perfect every single day. And perfection is not the goal of this process, but being better and feeling better is the process. And that is what we're looking for. So your ideal home life is whatever you want it to be. So it doesn't have to be what my house looks like. It doesn't have to be what someone else's house looks like, your neighbor's house, whatever. It can be whatever you want it to be. But the key thing is we really changed all of our habits that allowed us to keep the organization up. And that's what I want to give you. So I know what it's like. So we're all on Instagram and we see these beautiful pictures of these beautiful desks. And so you imagine that your house and your life and your different spaces are going to look like this. But in reality, I get it. It probably looks and feels a little bit more like this. So some days better than others. But I really want to show you that there's a way out. So without being overwhelmed, without quitting after the first day or the first hour, because I get it, sometimes this is a lot of work, without going back to being a clutter magnet, there is absolutely a way out. And if I can do this, I mean this so sincerely. If I can do this, literally anyone can. So, and that is a picture of my closet yesterday. So just so you know, that was not like a stage picture. That was just yesterday. So what were some of the mistakes I was making? I made 3 big mistakes that when I tried to organize myself before I learned really how to do it well and how to keep it up, I found that I was making 3 big mistakes that kept me stuck being disorganized. So the first mistake, and this is one that is universal. So the first mistake is buying a ton of bins and organizational supplies, thinking that that was what was going to get me organized. So if I just go to the Container Store or Target or IKEA, and you know that aisle in Target, it's a great aisle. The baskets, they're very enticing. But if I just go buy a bunch of bins and organizational stuff, I for sure will be motivated and I will magically become an organized person. So why is that a mistake? So I don't know if anybody has seen The Home Edit on Netflix. You probably have seen it out and about. Their big thing is organizing things in rainbows. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Here's what I want to tell you though. So this picture as an example. So just remember, social media is a lie. So whenever you see beautiful pictures, a lot of times they're staged. And when I look at this picture, I say, oh, that looks very beautiful. But unless you're running a daycare, do you need 12 pairs of scissors? Do you need 35 pink crayons? So what you're doing when you buy organizational supplies, yes, that looks very nice, but unless you have unlimited space, what you're really doing is just putting your stuff inside of other stuff. So sometimes you're putting your stuff in very beautiful stuff, but you're still actually adding more to your house and not solving your organizational problem. So please put your stuff inside of more stuff. This is an actual picture of a client of mine who really loved organizational bins. She loved bins, which I totally understand. Like I said, they're very enticing. But these are just a small subset of the bins that we had left after we were done organizing in her bedroom. So you're also, when you're buying these things, before you start organizing, you actually don't know what you need to store. Because if you go through the process that I'm going to teach you, you will actually reduce the amount of things you have. And so you have less of a need for organizational supplies. One of my biggest tips that I love to give people, and if you really take nothing away from this, please just take this thing, which is shop within your own house. So shop inside your own house. I love saying that. And it's because a lot of us already have great organizational solutions that already exist inside our house. You probably already have bins. In my kitchen, as an example, I had a coffee mug problem. Pretty severe coffee mug problem. We had 47 coffee mugs for 2 humans that drink hot beverages. So what I did was, I still loved those coffee mugs. I repurposed them. So they became change jars. They became pen holders. They became a bookend. I have one behind me. I have a bookend that is a coffee mug. So you can get things that are already existing in your house, repurpose them into being beautiful organizational supplies. So don't go buy a bunch of stuff to get organized, because that is not the way to do it. So your problem isn't that you don't have organizational supplies, it's that you have too much stuff. And this is true of almost anyone. One of my very first practice clients was actually an extreme minimalist. I walked into her house and I said, I'm really not sure why I'm here. And she goes, well, I still feel like I have too many things. So no matter what space you are in your life, we're very fortunate in this country, and we all have so much stuff. So it's not that you're missing a bin or a basket. It's that you have too much stuff, and I want to help you. So the second mistake I made was that I bought into these organizing gimmicks, like just organize for 5 minutes a day or just do one shelf at a time. And here's why that doesn't work. So just imagine that I give you a 1,000-piece puzzle, but I say you can only do one piece, you can only put one piece a day into the puzzle. You can't do any more. Well, do some quick math. You're not going to finish that puzzle for almost 3 years. So you are going to have a problem if you can't actually, over 3 years, I can do math. So you are going to have a problem if you only are able to do that one piece at a time solution. If you only have one piece at a time, you have no idea what the full puzzle looks like. You do not know if it's a tree or a forest or a castle. And so just organizing 5 minutes a day is not really confronting how much stuff you have and how you can actually downsize effectively. If you're only doing one shelf at a time, then you don't know, hey, well, you look at something and you say, let's see, I have a jar of pens there. Well, pens are really important and I really need to keep those pens. So those stay on the shelf. Well, what you might not know is that you have pen jars in every single room of your house. And you actually have 500 pens in your house, all in different places. So if you only do that one shelf a day, you have no idea the order of magnitude of how many of a certain item that you own. So all of these organizing gimmicks don't really add up to you having an organized house. The other thing too is if you're just going to do 5 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day or whatever, you are not really getting to the end solution where you're done either. So you're constantly just trying to barely get ahead. And so what we want to do is do it in a more thorough process so that you can actually reach an end point where you can say, oh my gosh, my house is organized now, and now I'm going to figure out how to keep it this way. So these strategies are sort of like get rich quick schemes. So, they say like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So when I work with clients, almost universally, there are shelves and shelves and shelves of organizing books. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of organizing books that you can buy. But these books haven't necessarily done the trick because they have techniques that maybe aren't that great. So mistake number 3 that I was making was, well, I have to keep all these things in case I might need them someday. They might come in handy. I could use them down the road. So there are 4 words that I call kind of the bad words of organizing. And it's might, could, maybe, and someday. And these words, we say them all the time and we may not even realize it. So if you go down this road and you decide that you want to start organizing, I want you to hear in your head how often you say, I could use this. Maybe I'm going to use this in the next 6 months. Someday I'm going to get to that. Someday I will wear that sweater. I have a colleague of mine who is a stylist, and she likes to say when someone says someday, she says, take out a calendar and show me when someday is. We use these words a lot and we don't even realize it. So these are some of my favorite organizing related things. So by age 35, you should have a huge box of cables, but you can't throw them out because you're pretty sure you still need them, but you're not sure which ones. And then I find old cables and I know I should throw them out, but I say, just in case someone comes with a Nokia N95 and needs to connect it to a fax machine. Every house has that box of electric cords. And everybody says like, oh no, I can't say goodbye to these. Like they're really important. Well, what do they go to? I'm not sure. So the other fabulous thing we always have is this is a drawer. This was one of my clients that had a drawer that was full, like almost couldn't be shut, of warranty manuals. In a vast majority of these were things that they didn't actually even own anymore. So I have to keep the owner's manual. So we all have these things that we're keeping just in case, might, could, maybe, and someday. All right, so if you want to participate, you're more than welcome to. If you are up to it, throw in the chat who has made one or all 3 or totally different mistakes, same as I did trying to declutter. It is totally okay. We have all done it. And there are so many things out there to try to figure out how to declutter that it's really hard to not do some of these things. So it's totally okay to admit. Everybody, Chris, I'm the queen of mistakes. Nice to meet you. Listen, I'm going to say really fast. So Chris, who we talked about before, she's one of my clients. Chris had one of the best lines ever, which was, she was in a different room than me and she yelled, Melissa, what's your record of people owning black yoga pants? And I go, I don't really have a record. She goes, well, I have 37. So Chris still holds the record for plain black yoga pants. So we've all made these mistakes. Okay, so Liz says she's an overachiever with containing things. I love that. It's so great. Heidi says someday is my favorite word. Mary is holding on to all the paper. Oh, Mary, I love paper. I love helping people declutter paper. It's like my inner nerd comes out, and it's just so satisfying to be able to shred all of the paper that you've been keeping. So, and Annie says the bin of rando cords. Yes, everybody has it. Some people have like so many bins of rando cords. It's really kind of impressive. So I'm happy to know that I wasn't the only person who was making all of these mistakes. So, okay. So let's say your house is disorganized. You're overwhelmed. You have clutter, and it doesn't matter how much clutter you have. So sometimes people think like, oh, well, I don't have like boxes full to the ceiling and crowding every room, and I don't have to like make a path through my house, but you can still have enough clutter that it bothers you. So whatever your level of clutter is, you can still be overwhelmed by it. So my minimalist client was still overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that she has. So if you are overwhelmed and clutter is taking over, but you want to get to an organized, calm, and peaceful home, then there is a way to do it. So let's say you're taking a trip. You can take a trip and you can do it one of 3 ways. You have a compass, which if there's someone on here that knows how to use a compass, amazing. So can you get to your destination by using just a compass? Yeah, sure. If you know what direction you're supposed to be going and how to read a compass, sure. That equivalent in organizing is just saying, well, I'm going to get organized, and not having a single plan, not knowing what to do. You can get a little bit warmer by having a map, a printed map, which is a thing that we used to use back in the olden days. So let's say you have a printed map. You could still get to the place you're going, but you wouldn't have a lot of details. So let's say you really need to know where the nearest gas station is, or you're really craving Culver's. That map is not going to show you that. But let's say you've got a smartphone. You know exactly how to get there. You know how long it's going to take. You know road construction. You know exactly where the Culver's is because you really need some fries, and you have great tunes to blast along the way. So the organizational equivalent to that is having a plan and having an organizational system that allows you to understand exactly where you are, where you're starting, what your goals are, and then how you're going to get there. It's all about having a plan. So do you want the compass, the map, or the smartphone to get your house organized? There's no wrong answer. If you want to take the compass route, you are welcome to do it. It's just going to take you a long time. So what my job is to get you the smartphone version of decluttering and organizing. And so I call this the Overwhelmed to Organize Blueprint, because a blueprint tells you exactly how to build a house. And I want to give you the directions to build your house from the bottom up in the most organized fashion that you can. So here is the system. So I am organized, but I am certified by Marie Kondo, and I love the KonMari method, and I am very passionate about it. But I also have found that there are some clients that doesn't work for. So I wanted to come up with something that really honored the training that I got and honors the system that I love, but also gives people a little bit of freedom to do what works for them in their house. So the Overwhelmed to Organize Blueprint, the path that we go down with our smartphone, is prioritize, categorize, downsize, and reorganize. And I'm going to walk you through all of these steps. So if you want to take notes, feel free, but also I will be sending you a replay of this seminar. I will also be happy to send you the slides if you would just like to look through the slides too. So prioritize, categorize, downsize, and reorganize. So let's start with prioritize. What is the most pressing thing in your house that needs to get organized? So you can think about it. I am doing right now a group with a stylist that I am good friends with, and it's a closet organization challenge. And I asked those ladies, kind of tell me a little bit about other parts of your house that are frustrating. Almost everyone said mudroom, and it's totally up to you, whatever that looks like in your house. But what is the most pressing thing that needs to get organized in your house? So is it my closet is completely stuffed and I can't fit my new yoga pant wardrobe for work at home? Because we all have a new yoga pant wardrobe for work at home. There is unopened mail on every surface of my office. Or this is very acutely a problem in the state of Minnesota where I live. Winter is coming and my garage is stuffed. I can't park a car there. So you do have one option, which is my friend Marie's way. You can do it. The order that we use in the KonMari method is your priority is you start with clothing, then you move on to books, then you do paperwork, the dreaded paperwork. You do miscellaneous, which includes kitchen and garage and all sorts of things. And then the last one you do is sentimental. So if you choose to go the KonMari method route, you have your priorities laid out for you and you go in that order. If you have different priorities in your house, like you might say, my kitchen remodel starts in a month and the dog has just ruined all of my plates. There's snow next week and the garage is jammed. It might be more important to you and it might be more time sensitive to you to start one of these other projects. Prioritization is totally up to you and up to the challenges that you are facing in your house. So if you are about to move, that is a very specific priority level that we need to figure out, okay, what's our first priority for moving? It's to downsize kitchen implements, or it's to downsize clothing so we don't have to move so many wardrobe boxes. You get to pick the priority that what looks like in your house. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the people that I have worked with. So this is my friend Meredith. She has fabulous shoes. So it's one of those things where she was able to uncover these shoes because we organized together. So she wrote me a little thing about working together. And she said, I really liked that I could go at my own pace and tackle the projects in order that made the most sense. So she was able to be feeling better about her house and not as stressed out because she was following this system where she said, okay, instead of starting with this, I'm going to start with the thing that means the most to me. So the next process, so once you've gotten done prioritizing and saying, okay, it's really important to me, I want to do the KonMari way, or I really want to go and I've got to get my garage set. A lot of people also have kitchen problems. So you might be saying, man, I've got to get to my kitchen. So the next step is categorizing. Okay, I am extremely passionate about categorizing your stuff, and I'm going to explain why. So the concept of being overwhelmed. So when someone uses the word, I'm overwhelmed, I had someone give me a very brilliant and very simple explanation of what overwhelmed is. It is not knowing what to do next. And this happens a lot to people when they're organizing. They will look at their closet and just go, I have absolutely no earthly idea where to start. And categorizing is the key to making this entire thing come together and reducing overwhelm. So I love this. This makes me laugh. I saw this on the interwebs somewhere one day. So I needed to do the laundry, but then I realized I was out of detergent. So I wrote a shopping list, and then the junk drawer was disorganized. And then I went to toss that, and the trash was full, but then I wanted to make sure I cleaned out the fridge. And then I went to get a rag to clean out the refrigerator. And then the pantry started needing organization. And that's how I ended up on the floor looking at my old photo albums from the 1990s and not doing any laundry. So categorization, this is a very common thing that happens in organizing. And every once in a while with a client, I have to say, like, okay, we're going to come back to this path. So it's very, very easy to have shiny shiny object or squirrel syndrome and like go to a new project when you're organizing. Categorizing stops that from happening. It also helps you avoid that feeling. The feeling of just wanting to do the turtle and pull your sweater over your head because you don't want to deal with it and you don't know what to do next. Categorizing allows you to know what you have, how much stuff you have. It reduces overwhelm and it helps you know exactly what you need to do. So what do we mean by categorizing? So let's say that you have this closet and I say, all right, we're going to go organize this closet. So some people might look at that. I look at that and get excited because I think about how great that closet could look. You might be looking at that closet going, oh my God, like pass the ice cream. I cannot deal with it. The way to deal with that closet is by categorizing and then subcategorizing and then sub-subcategorizing. So the way to prevent overwhelm is to know exactly what you want to do next. So what do I mean by subcategories and sub-subcategories? So in clothing, just take clothing as an example. You have workwear, you have athleisure, you have athletic clothing, foundations, bras and underwear, you have coats, you have shoes, you have accessories. You have lots of different clothing. You might have specialty clothing. So you have all of these clothing categories. So if you wanted to say, for instance, well, I'm ready to organize my closet, but I only want to do workwear. That is a subcategory. You can also get more granular than that. You can say, I'm going to organize my athleisure today. Athleisure, my favorite category, because it's what I'm practically living in these days. Athleisure can even be broken down into leggings, capris, sweatshirts, tanks, t-shirts, shorts, skirts. You can break anything down into pretty deep subcategories. So if you say to yourself, I only have a half an hour to give to organizing, but I would like to do something, you can't tackle your whole closet, but could you just tackle sweatshirts? Could you just tackle t-shirts? So categorizing allows you to get down to a spot where you don't feel as overwhelmed, because if you can get down to a spot where you go, I'm able to mentally deal with this tiny part of my house, it will enable you to be able to move forward. The other thing that categorizing does for you is it allows you to see how much you have. So if you have, for instance, leggings, and you might store leggings in 3 different parts of your house, if you do the categorizing method, you need to find out where those leggings are in all the different spots of your house. This is one of the biggest things I have gotten from KonMari. Make sure you know how much stuff is in your house in certain categories, because then you can decide in the next section when we're going to downsize what you're going to keep. So breaking big projects down into these manageable, smaller projects also helps your brain process things and makes decisions easier. So in any given year, I don't care what year it is hard to make some of these organizing decisions. This year in particular, our brains are super stressed. There is a lot going on, and even if you are safe and even if you don't have some of the challenges that some people are facing in this very bizarre year, it's still harder for all of us to make decisions now than it was 7 months ago. So breaking these big projects down allows us to have our brains be able to have time to process it better, and it will help guarantee that you will not do the, well, I've been organizing in an hour and I can't take it anymore and it's time for ice cream. So although I do endorse eating ice cream while you're doing this process, it really does make things better. This is another one of my favorite organizing things. I've gotten it sent to me many times, but when you're decluttering and you get distracted by all the cool stuff you find. So categorizing kind of helps with this one too, so that you don't get off on that, again, the shiny object path and go, ooh, I'm going to try on all of the weird things that I have found in my organizing process. So categorizing, you guys, is magical. It's absolutely magical. Okay, but where the rubber meets the road is the third thing that we do in this process, which is downsizing. So downsizing is just a nice way of saying we're going to say goodbye to things. So in the KonMari process, we do not say we get rid of things. We say goodbye to things, or we decide that we no longer need things anymore. But downsizing, or you can use the word editing, whatever word works for you works for me. But it's about saying goodbye to some things in your house. You don't need more space. You need less stuff. You don't need a bigger house. You don't need a bigger closet. You don't need 12 closets. You don't need to build an attachment onto your house. You can do your existing house. You just can do it with less stuff. I promise you can. So reducing the amount of things and stuff you have is life-changing. So I have many pictures of my car like this. This is my car stuffed with things that are going to donation that someone decided that they did not need anymore. So it is truly, truly life-changing. And I have a lot of people say, and I felt this myself, it feels like you're physically losing weight when you say goodbye to these things. It is life-changing to be able to say, I am getting these things out of my house, and it really feels like your house has lightened. I know that sounds woo-woo, and it is a little bit, but I'm telling you, everybody that I work with feels that way. So some questions that I want you to ask yourself, because sometimes downsizing is really hard for people. And again, you can keep, it's your house. You can keep as much as you want. You can keep every single thing in your house if you want to, as long as you're thoughtfully keeping it and saying, yes, I'm choosing to keep this in my house. If you're just doing it because it feels like too much work, that's different. So the downsizing process, some questions that you can ask yourself if you're struggling. When was the last time you used this? Do you have plans to use this in the next month? Did you use the 4 words that I love, might, could, maybe, or someday, to describe this item? How many of these items or similar items do you have, and how many do you need? So that's where categorizing comes in. Make sure that you know how many of something that you have. Are you keeping this out of a sense of guilt? Another key question. I will tell you just really quickly before I move on to, when you're asking some of these questions, and there are lots more questions that you can ask, and I'm happy to give you a whole list of questions you can ask yourself if you want to. But this may sound crazy, but I want you to go with me. Sometimes when you ask these questions and actually give an answer out loud, so if I'm working with someone, back when I was able to go into people's homes, when I'm working with someone and I say, when was the last time you used this? And they start telling me a story, I have had many, many times that someone will say, oh my gosh, now that I'm saying this out loud, that doesn't make any sense. I don't really need to keep this. It happens all the time. So what I would say to you, if you decide to go on this organizing journey, if you're really struggling with something, start asking yourself these questions out loud. And then when you have to say, well, I have this orange sweater and I might want to be Velma from Scooby-Doo for Halloween next year, you realize that that may not sound like the most logical thing. And maybe you could just give that sweater away. And if you want to be Velma next year, Scooby-Doo is a great thing to be, but you can maybe go find that sweater at a thrift store. So one thing that stops people a lot is they feel guilty. So you can feel guilt over a lot of things in this process. And I really, really do understand the idea of guilt. And guilt can cover up a lot of other emotions in this process. So you can feel guilty that someone gave you something and you are never going to use it. And so you really don't want it in your house anymore, but you feel guilty because someone gave it to you. You can feel guilt because you feel wasteful, that you bought some things that you don't need anymore. You might feel guilt because you have things in your closet or in your home that still have tags on them that have never been used. There are a lot of feelings, and we go into, when we work together, we go into the emotional part of it, because emotions are how you kind of get out of the disorganization cycle. But what I want to tell you is you will never ever know what kind of an amazing second life your things will have if you let them go into the universe. I have story after story after story, but I will just leave you with one. I had a client whose mother had some serious medical problems, and my client had a lot of medical equipment in her garage. And so we were giving all of this equipment away for free on Facebook Marketplace. And one day we were working together, and she opened her mailbox, and she had this note from a client. She had given this person, or from a person that we gave a walker to. And this person had written her a thank you note and just said, "It will be so nice for my mom when she comes to visit, and blessings to you." So that was just a very kind gesture, but there are tons of other stories of things that we have had for clients that we have given away. And it's just amazing to see some of the things that people need, and that you are actually helping someone live a better life because you had something in your house that you didn't need anymore. So holding on to that guilt and saying, well, I need to keep this sweater that I know I'm never going to wear because it has the tags on it and I feel guilty about that. Let it go, because someone is going to love that sweater. It just doesn't have to be you. So this is my client who, she's a new mom. So she had, if anybody on here has kids or is out of the kid phase, the amount of stuff you have when you have kids is crushing in some cases. So she was talking about the amount of stuff she's accumulated in less than 12 months is overwhelming. And I was very lucky to be able to help her figure out how to tackle it. And she used this program. So she used this system. And she only had 2 hours a week to devote, but she was able to make it happen. So she said, if you have a space in your house that you avoid or dread, she was able to use this process to stop dreading all of those tasks. You can live with less. And whatever you're thinking about is less, you can probably live with even less than you think. This is one of my favorite organizing quotes. So maybe the life you've always wanted to live is buried underneath everything you own. I will tell you that we definitely found that out in a lot of places in our house. We didn't need closets that were stuffed to the brim. We didn't need a kitchen that had, everything overflowing out of every drawer. You can live with less stuff, and then you start to uncover who you really are and who do you want to be, and what does your house want to be. So Heather loves that quote. Heather, I love that quote. It's a guy named Joshua Becker. He is a really strict minimalist, but his writing is even if you are not on the minimalist path, his writing is beautiful, and he really says a lot of great things that I love. Okay, the last step in this process is reorganize. So reorganizing, after you have already gone through and you've said, okay, I'm doing my kitchen first, and I'm excited to categorize, and I'm ready to say goodbye to 37 of my 47 coffee mugs, then it is time to put things back in a very sensible fashion. So what I want you to do when you reorganize is not just throw everything back exactly where it was before, but I want you to be really thoughtful about your space. So when you reorganize, just pretend like you've just moved into your house. Here's what usually happens when someone moves. And I'm only saying this because we moved 4 years ago, and I remember it vividly. And when you move, you are so stressed out. It's one of the most stressful processes in the world. And you're moving into a house, and all you want to do is just be done. You just want the boxes to be gone. You just want the chaos to be gone. You want to be able to find things. You want to be able to sleep in a bed. You just want to be finished. And what usually happens in people's homes when they're moving in is they just go, just throw it there. I don't care. I'll reorganize it later. And 5 years passes, and that thing is still there. And it has never moved spaces, because after you get done moving in, you're not really in the mood to like, hey, let's undo everything that we just did and redo it. So when you reorganize after you have downsized, I really want you to be thoughtful about where things go back. And the first thing I want to tell you is the first rule of Fight Club, the first rule of organizing Fight Club, the first rule of the Overwhelmed to Organize Blueprint is there are no rules about how you reorganize. And here's what I mean by that. If you say, well, this has always been here. The plates have always been in that cabinet. There is no other place in our kitchen than they could possibly go. It's not true. This is a living room. I can't make it into an office. I am currently talking to you from my former dining room that I said we used once a year. It was on Thanksgiving. And I said, why do we have a room that we use once a year? So I turned it into my office and it's been glorious. So there are no rules about what you can do in your house. I had this happen with a client. She said, I really want to paint my kitchen blue, but my friend said I can't do that. That's not, kitchens aren't blue. So kitchens can be whatever you want. My closet, as you could see in the earlier pictures, I said, I want a closet that's pink and has like a sparkly light fixture in it. So that is exactly what I did. So there are no rules. Whatever works for you, you can do in your house. The other thing I want you to think about, all right, Holly's kitchen is teal. I know, I've seen your kitchen, it's beautiful. So this drawer is full. So I want you to take this one. This one I really feel strongly about. There was a book that I read at the beginning of my organizing journey, and it had this line that has stuck with me. I don't remember much about the rest of the book, but I remember this line vividly. It said, we need a new definition of the word full. So in your kitchen in particular, you know those drawers that everybody has that like the spatula sticks in the back, so then the drawer won't open and then you have to put your hand in the back and shove the spatula down and pull it out. And I want you to stop feeling that way and stop being annoyed, because what that does is you're annoyed every time you're cooking. So I want you to think about this new definition of the word full. I have a drawer in my kitchen that is a little smaller than the one in that picture, but its sole job is to hold 6 knives. That's it. That's its only job. It could hold 50 knives and probably a couple of aforementioned spatulas, but that's all it needs to do. I don't need to shove more things in there. So please don't think that because you have a space, you have to fill it. So it's okay to have an empty shelf in your closet. It is okay to have an empty drawer in a dresser. It doesn't have to be stuffed full of stuff. Or you can say, I'm going to have a drawer that's half full, and half full is really entirely full. But just give yourself the grace to say, I don't have to fill every single space in my house. Also, when you're reorganizing, put things where you use them. This may seem really obvious, but a lot of people don't think this way. So they say, for instance, well, I have a linen closet and it's like way down the hall from my bedroom, but it's a linen closet. That's its job. Guess what? You can put your linens for your bed in your room in your closet in your room or in a drawer in your room. You don't have to use that closet that's super far away if you want to keep your linens in your room. Your kitchen is a great example. When we redid our kitchen and our organizational process, and I encourage my clients to do this too, look at your cabinets and say, well, wouldn't it make more sense if I put the pots there because it's right close to the stove? Or this drawer is probably for oven mitts, but I really need to use it for stirring spoons because that's what I reach for most often. Think about those spaces in your house and put things where you actually use them. Another big thing in reorganizing that I really want to hound on is the concept of prime real estate. So you have real estate that is inside your real estate of your house. So prime real estate means it's those super good drawers. They're the super good hangers in your closet. It's the stuff that's really close. So the cabinets that are closest to the stove and the drawers that are closest to the stove and the drawer that's closest to your sink in the bathroom. That is prime real estate. So if you use something once a year, it shouldn't be in a drawer where you use all your other everyday things. And yes, I am talking to the potato masher. That potato masher in that picture, that's one of those things that gets all the drawers stuck and it's really irritating. And so that we use that thing maybe once a month, right? So guess what? It does not get prime real estate in my kitchen. It goes in another spot where it's still easy to access, but I don't need to keep it next to my things that I use every single day. So keep your prime real estate for the important things. Kitchen is a great example of this and the one that I think of most often. So let's think about the holidays are coming up, which is very exciting because we need something good to happen this year. So if you have things that you only use for Thanksgiving and Christmas or between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so let's say that includes the potato masher, some pans that you make a specific Thanksgiving bundt cake in, whatever. If you have things that are just for the holiday season, take those out of wherever they live in your kitchen and then give them their own special spot. because you don't need them sitting by all the stuff that you use the other 11 months of the year or 10 months of the year. So Cara says, I have a bin hidden in the back of a cabinet that holds once a year serving and cooking utensils, and I pull out the bin when I need it, and voila. I do too. I didn't even teach Cara that. She's a super organized lady. That's exactly what I did, Cara. I took those once a year or very infrequent things, and I gave them their own bins in a cabinet. Then you just take them out when you use them, boom, you're done. So think about those type of things in any spot in your house. All right. Also go back and remember rule 1. There are no rules. So if you decide that you want to put your pots and pans in your linen closet, go do it. You do whatever you want. So if you only take away one thing out of all of this, I want you to understand, and I mean this sincerely, you can do this. I did it, and I showed you the pictures. I can happily show you more evidence if you need more receipts of what a mess I was. I was able to get organized. I have been able to get other people organized, and I see other people who have been able to do this very successfully. You just need a plan. So hopefully you have been able to see prioritize, categorize, downsize, and reorganize. If you just break it down into those steps, my uncle says he was a witness to my past life. He was. So he will be able to happily tell everyone the level of my trash panda-ness. But if you only take away one thing today, please understand, no matter where you are in this process, if you are saying, I have stuff on every surface of my house, you can do this. So you really can go from step A to step B. You can absolutely go from being disorganized, whatever disorganized means in your house, and have a cluttered home, and you can have an organized home for whatever level that you want to have. So again, my definition of organized is not your definition of organized. It's whatever your goals are for your house. I want you to have the house that you love. So you can take all of the tools that we have talked about today. You can absolutely do it. You can also go, I have a Facebook page where I try to share tips and tricks. If you are into social media, I try to share things on Instagram as well, but it is my passion in life. Legitimately, I have found a career that makes me so happy because I am able to help people in their homes and really, really make a difference. So I want for you to have that house you love. So I just want to let you guys know I have been building something, and I am happy for you to go it alone, and I will happily cheer you on from the sidelines. So you can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram, and you can tell me all about what you are doing and what kind of projects you're doing. I will be your best cheerleader on the sidelines. But if you're in a space where you need more help, if you prefer, I am happy to be your coach, the head cheerleader. I will not put on the uniform because I'm 45. I will be your team doctor. I will be your therapist. I will be anything except for the fitness trainer because that's just not my jam. So I can be everything of that in your life. So I have been working on something. So obviously we've not been doing very much in the last few months. And so I had a lot of time at home, and I said, look, I can't go into people's houses right now and maybe for the foreseeable future. And I want people to still be able to organize and do it safely and do it in a way that is super accessible to everyone. So I've been working on a thing. Also, just for the record, this is my new favorite sticker. My friend sent it to me. It's 2020. It's a dumpster fire sticker. I love it very much. But I have spent a bunch of time during my quiet time at home working on a thing where I can bring organizing to you. So I've created the thing. So Overwhelmed to Organize Blueprint is a thing, and enrollment is open right now. I have beta tested it with a bunch of people very successfully, and they've all been able to organize their house. So I wanted to make sure that it was actually useful to people and helpful. But the blueprint is full of all sorts of things that can help you declutter your house with lots of help. So if you are saying to yourself, I still think I don't know how to do this, and I still think I need extra help, I would really love to be able to help you. So one of my people in my beta test is Chelsea, and she said working with me gave her the confidence to declutter without the stress of where to start or how to put it back together. Her thoughtful resources, so I give you step-by-step guides, checklists, donation, recycling options, and she says I'm funny, which I really try. I want you to have fun while you're organizing, and freed up her mental capacity to focus on tidying up. So if you feel like you need more help, you get immediate access today to, there's a self-paced online course. So you can go through my online course and you can do it at any speed you want to. So Chelsea, in the last one, she asked me before she signed up, she said, how slowly can I go? And I sent her a GIF of a sloth. And I said, you can go slower than this guy if you want to. It is totally paced at your discretion. I teach you how to organize every single space in your house and to keep it decluttered. So you get a video, there's a video course, and you get videos, you get checklists, you get workbooks, you get guides for specific tough spaces. So I tell you exactly how to do your kitchen, exactly how to do your closet. You get total full instructions for organization. So this is an example of, I give you workbooks and I give you checklists for every single space in your house. That way you can go through one of two things. You can not only divide your things into categories, you can also give yourself a super nice gold star once you get through all the categories. So double bonus. I also do Zoom calls and you do them directly with me. And so you get individualized Q&A and support and advice, and you get to hear from other people who are organizing at the same time as you, and support through good times and bad. Then there's also a private Facebook group, and that is a place where you can go and you can talk about struggles that you're having, or you can ask me questions. Hey, how do I do this? Someone in that group a couple days ago was like, hey, I'm moving in 3 weeks. What do I do? So we answer very specific questions for people there. So you really get a lot of personalized help. It just isn't me sitting in your house. So I put this all together. I tried to make it super affordable. So it's $97. So you can get your entire house organized with a certified professional organizer for less than $100. And I would absolutely love, if you are remotely interested, I would love to have some people in the course, because we've got 74 people that took the beta test of it. And we have this lovely community of people who were ready to organize their house. I would love to be able to get as many people as I can organizing, because this is a great time to do it, since we all might be in our houses for a little bit longer. So I want you to live in your house and be happy. And if I am able to help you with that, I would love to be able to do that. So also, I want to say a lot of my clients find legitimately sometimes thousands of dollars, usually hundreds of dollars at a very least. I had a client once find $3,000 worth of gift cards. So you actually find money a lot while you're organizing. So I would like to believe that you would actually make that $97 back in a very short period of time. And I do have a total money back guarantee. If you get it and you go like, Melissa, I don't, this is not my jam, totally fine. You do not have to stay in it if it doesn't work for you. So I am typing into the chat the link that you can go to if you're remotely interested. If not, that is totally fine. I would love to still hear about your process and hear what you're doing. I am your biggest cheerleader, I promise you. Here is another thing my friend Ashley said. So I helped her approach organization in a way that helped make real changes to her life. So the nice thing about Ashley is she said she was able to get rid of clutter and rediscover things that made her really happy. So she also talked about that idea of panic cleaning. So she doesn't have to panic clean before people come over. And she wants to know that she wants people to know that she fell in love with her space again, because she just did a super quick organization process. So there is a link in the chat that I sent to you if you are wanting to join our collection of people who are organizing. Yes, Chris, I will email this. So I will email the link to everyone. If it's not working in there, I will send it to everybody. If you wanted to join, you can also type that into your browser. It just may not be working in the Zoom. I would love to have you. And this is one thing that I really believe about organizing. It is self-care. And it's really a good thing to be able to feel calm about your house. Your brain doesn't like clutter. You don't realize it, but your brain fires every time it sees clutter. So it's a self-care thing. And we really do have a nice community of people that are ready to support and care about each other. So I would love to help you love your house again. So either again, or maybe for the first time ever. And I would absolutely love to connect with you on social media, or you can send me direct emails. I have all that information there. And again, I will send you this whole presentation so that you can listen to it as many times as you want and take as many notes as you want. And I would just love to be able to get you guys on the path to organization. So if anybody would like to ask questions, so Chris asked a question. She said, is it open now? It is. So you can join all the people that are in it already and join the group tonight. And we can share it with as many people as you wish. So I would love to be able to get friends and family in here, anybody who wants to get organizing. If anybody has a question, I will see. I think I can turn off the mute thing, or you can ask a question in the chat if anybody has any specific questions that they want to ask. I will leave it open. Well, I hope if anybody, I'll leave it open in case anybody has questions or maybe you want to ask something personal, but I really appreciate your time tonight. I really hope that everybody got a little bit out of this. And again, if nothing else, I promise you, if I can do this, anybody can. So thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on the internet, you can find me on email, you can find me pretty much anywhere. So thank you so much for coming.
Super easy. I just signed up.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much. Is that Anne? Oh, I might have lost her. All right. Oh, Michael, do you also have a dumpster? Oh, you do. I love it. I didn't have the, I didn't have my video on until just now. That's awesome.
Gift store near us is doing hats and little vinyl figures too.
Yeah, so I had a really good friend of mine sent me this care package the other day, and it had chocolate, which is appreciated, and this dumpster fire sticker. And I'm just like, all it needed was wine, and then we would have been good.
Yes, I was going to say, Melissa, my house has been great since we worked together, but now that I'm pseudo empty nesting, I find that my needs have kind of changed and I've had to reevaluate a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited. It'd be very nice to go through the process with other people who are working with it. I haven't had to buy any new clothes since I met your tailor in Egan and had my pants altered. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and that's interesting that you say that, Anne, because it really is one of those things that you sometimes have to say, I have a total different, like pandemic is a great example. Like we all had to use our houses completely differently. Mm-hmm. And if you have empty nests, so if you have, I have a cousin that just had a brand new baby. And so you might have to change your house for that, or you might have to change your house because your babies went away, or because you're working at home or living at work, whichever you want to look at it as. So your house has to change to accommodate your life. And yeah, you find that you need different things at different times. So that's awesome. I'm happy to see you, or hear you, I should say.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Anybody else? So obviously people can unmute. So if you have any questions, I would be absolutely happy to answer them.
Melissa, my name is Lori.
Hi, Lori.
The question that I have is, can you maybe go over what the program might look like, or what the typical day, week, or however this might run would be if we sign up?
Yeah, absolutely. So
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So it is totally self-paced. So what it is you go online, and I have there are videos all in order. So we talk about the mental processes of organizing. So all you have to do is actually listen to some videos at first before you even start anything. So it's not a structured process where you say, okay, on Monday I have to do this, on Tuesday I have to do this, on Wednesday I have to do this. It is totally on your timeline. So you could start the videos tomorrow and start organizing your house from top to bottom, or you could start 2 months from now and do it that way. So it's completely self-paced. Does that help, or have I not?
Yep,
explained
that does. That
Yep.
does. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I designed it so you can do it. It doesn't matter what size house you have. It doesn't matter how many people are in that house. It's really just about, it's very structured for anybody to be able to use in their house. And then if you have very specific issues, then that's what we cover in the Zoom meetings that we have, where people ask their own very specific questions, which also then usually help other people.
Okay.
And then you can also ask those in the Facebook group if you're in need before the Zoom calls. So
Great. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Do you cover getting other people in the house on board with this process?
We do talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So that is something that people really struggle with, and it's actually one of the hardest parts. A lot of people never get organized because they need other people to get on board, and sometimes that's hard. So we talk about how to get that done, and then also what happens if that can't happen. And because that's also a very realistic thing that happens sometimes. So all right, anybody else? So you guys can, if you have private questions that you want to ask, please feel free to email me. I really appreciate everybody showing up tonight. I know that there was some counter programming. I know that there were probably other things to do. Again, we said it before everyone started, I might have like saved you from the counter programming, so you're welcome. But I would be happy to engage with you in any way. And it was really, I loved that all these people came. So thank you. I thought that maybe I'd be talking to myself. So thank you very much. So
Thank you.
all right. I'll see you guys all on the internet. Thank you.
Sweetheart.